My brothers, my sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for having the time. Thank you very much for being here. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share with you one of two things that I believe might hit someone, might inspire someone, give him the opportunity or give him that calling to reduce some burden from himself. Besides, after all, we are all moving at a pace, and the amount of weight upon your back determines how far you go. And not just how far you go, but the speed with which you walk the journey of life. Sometimes it depends on the weight that you carry on your back. Now, we all know the law of physics. The more weight you carry, the less energy you have, and the less energy you have, the slower your movement. Now, what I'm going to say right now is you just need to see what load are you carrying upon your back. And you should understand, sometimes these loads are loads of emotions that shouldn't be there. Sometimes there are loads of negative people that shouldn't be there in your life. Sometimes there are loads of memories that shouldn't be haunting you. The amount of loads you carry upon your back determines how far you go, and it determines the fastness and the speed with which you walk the journey of life. Now, this is just by the way. In the coming minutes, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to speak to you on the topic, what you should expect. What you should expect. Expectations. We all have our expectations. Sometimes we expect things from our women. Sometimes we expect things from our men. We expect things from our parents. We expect things from our siblings. We expect things from our teachers. We expect things from our communities, our friends. And we even expect things from God, Allah Himself. And we expect things from life. Now, our expectations sometimes are the cause of our emotional instabilities. You see, it is one thing to expect something, and it is another to get actually your expectations. Now, there is a difference between what you expect and what you should expect. Sometimes what you expect is not worth expecting. You have to realize that sometimes we expect things excessively. What happens when you expect more from someone that you should be expecting less? What happens when you try to expect a person to be godlike when he is in fact a person? Now, do you understand that sometimes we get related to people because of our expectations? Some of us love people because of our expectations of them, so that when we don't see them meeting that expectation, then the love will be nowhere to be found. Now, you have to understand that our expectations are significant in our relations. Your expectations in any given relationship determines how far the relationship goes. Your expectations of a person determines how far you are willing to go with the person. Now, you see, your expectations of something determines how you attach yourself to it. Your expectation to something determines how long you are willing to stay with the person and how you are willing to fight to stay with the person. When you expect a person to be a god, then you will be nowhere to be found when you realize he is a person. Ain't it funny that we want people to be gods? when we ourselves are devils. No, people relate to the immaterial of us, forgetting that we are humans. I'm just going to tell you one thing right now, my friend. If you are with a person and he is only with you because he thinks you are infallible, that you don't make mistake, run for your life. If you think you have a friend in him who believes that you are somehow an opportunity instead of a person, run from that person. That person is not in love with the person that you are. He is in love with the God in you. But you and I know you are no God. Run away for your life. You know, how many of such friendships, how many of such relationships, how many of such stuff that we see deteriorate, get overwhelmed or broken simply because of the expectations that we put on people. You have to manage your expectations. So what do you expect, and what you should expect, or what should you expect? Now that is a very big question, and it is a very important question. You can start analyzing them. Have you ever expected so much from people that you couldn't appreciate the lot they gave you because you have expected too much from them? Even when they are doing their best for you, you can't see it because you have expected so much from them. Have you ever felt so disappointed in people, not because they have done something wrong, but because you just expected so much of them and they couldn't come through with that expectations? Have you ever felt so much hurt simply because people couldn't live up to your expectations? Now, have you ever stepped back to analyze whether you have been expecting so much from people? If you have yourself being disappointed by almost everybody, the problem is not the people. Now you have to go and check in the box of your expectations. Perhaps that's where the problem lies. If you expect least of people, then the little they do makes you happy. But no matter how much they do for you, no matter how the lot they sacrifice for you, no matter how much they are doing just to see you happy, if your expectation of them is way beyond what they are doing, you will never appreciate their sacrifice. You will never appreciate them, you will never be happy, and they will never be enough for you. You should check in with your expectations. Not everybody would match your expectations. So the question now becomes, what should you expect? Now I'm going to tell you this. Expect humans to be humans. Oh yeah. Expect humans to be humans. Expect a person to always be a person. Now, what does this mean to be human? What does it mean to be a person? You know, we all want a perfect spouse. We all want a perfect husband. We all want a perfect friend. Now, this perfection, what does it mean in this moment, in this life of ours? What does it mean to be perfect? Allah is perfect, isn't He? God Almighty, Allah is the greatest and He is perfect. Now listen to this. The perfection of Allah lies in His inability to make mistakes. It's not that He doesn't make mistakes. It's like Allah can't make a mistake. It is part of Him never to make a mistake. Now, Allah just can't make mistake. It's impossible for Allah to make mistake, and that is where Allah's perfection lies. He doesn't make mistakes. But humans, the perfection of humans cannot be that of God. A human can be perfect in the same measure that Allah can be perfect. A human being, his perfection lies the mistakes that he makes. Let me just say this to you. Just listen to this. You know something is real when there are mistakes in it. The more perfect it appears, the more imperfections covered. The more beautiful it appears, the more ugliness needed to be covered. The more beautiful it appears, the more ugliness it has to cover up. You know something is fake when there are no blemishes onto it. You know someone is fake when he doesn't present any modicum of fallibility. Now that is how you know the difference between real people and fake people. You know someone is real when you see the negativity in him. You know someone is fake when he presents no possibility of mistakes. Now you see, human beings, the real human makes mistake, and the real perfection lies in his ability to transcend and overcome those mistakes and never commit them ever again. Now you see, whilst Allah's perfection lies in his inability to make mistakes, the perfection of human being is just the opposite. His perfection is where he makes the mistakes and tries to correct them. Now you see, if you are in a relationship with someone and you expect him to be perfect in the measure that Allah is perfect, then you are expecting too much of him. And such a person who is expecting this of people will never find happiness in anyone, because you will never find God anywhere in humans. You know, human beings can't be God. They can only be humans. That's why I say expect humans to be humans. Now what does this mean? It means relate to them. And when you relate to them, you are relating to the good of them and you are relating to the bad aspect of them, so that you enjoy the good together and you set up together and work out the bad aspect of yourself. That's what it means to relate with the person. Expect humans to be humans. Expect them to be wise sometimes. Expect them to be stupid sometimes. Expect them to be good sometimes. Expect them to be very bad sometimes. Expect them to do the correct thing sometimes, and expect them to make some very bad mistakes sometimes. Expect them to go high sometimes, and expect them to go very low sometimes. Expect them to be rich sometimes, and expect them to be very broke sometimes. Expect them to be very nice sometimes, and expect them to be very naughty sometimes. Expect people to be people. If you have these expectations of people, then you are cool with them. You are cool with them. I'm just going to tell you what disappoints us. Disappointment comes from things that we don't expect. What happens when you know you are going to be beaten and you are beaten anyway? Now you see, you don't get much pain because you already know it is coming. When you got something coming, then you get ready for it. But what hits you hard is something that you have never saw coming. And when it comes, it hits you hard. It surprises you. It breaks you emotionally. It challenges you mentally. And it breaks your bones. That's what happens when you are crushed by unexpectedness. But what if you already expect those of people? Now you see, in our lives, we all have things moving. We all have things going. We have our plans. We have our expectations. You meet someone, you ask him, what are you doing? You say, oh no, I have plans for my life. Allah has plan for my life. I have a bright future. I have bright future, and I am going to be great. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. Now you see, these are our expectations, and we are putting them on paper, and we are working on them. Now I'm not talking about those who don't work on their plans. Theirs is a different level of stupidity altogether. I'm talking about those who have something doing with their lives, those who go to school and study hard. I'm not even talking about those who are not studying hard in school. I'm talking about those who go to school and study hard. I'm talking about those who actually struggle, put some struggle in life. I'm talking about those who plan for their lives. I'm talking about those who build businesses. I'm talking about those who have something going. They have expectations for future greatness. They expect something to be good in the future. Now, here is the twist of life. What happens when your expectations get crushed by the doings of life? Now, you need to understand that there are always curves. When they are building characters, the movies that you watch every time, there are producers, very genius people who sit somewhere and they build characters. And characters, they employ people who would act the characters on the screen, and you enjoy those characters. Now, in building a character, there is something they call the arc of life. You understand? The arc of the character. That is something like the turning point. Something always turns. There ain't no smooth way, straight line all the way to infinity. There is no such thing as straight line in life. There is always a curve. It is true in the movie and it is true in life. You just don't know where the turn is. You have been planning your life all along. Everything seems to be moving so well. You have your plans, you have the capital, you have the investment, you have the promises, you have the interest rates, you have everything going for you. You are just walking the dream. You are seeing the destination and you are walking all the way to it. But the thing is, you don't see the arc. You don't see the turning point, but you are just walking all the way. You think you got it all figured out. And all of a sudden, the arc, the turning point, or you call it the breaking point, the point that breaks you, that point where you reach and your life gets crashed. You don't see the future anymore. Your dream destination that you were looking at so clearly, now it has been shattered. Everything is not working anymore. Now that is the arc of life. And in every life of us, there is an arc. There is a turning point. There is a point where life will have to crash. Where life have to dismantle your arrangements. Allah doesn't care what you have been arranging for yourself. When Allah has a plan for you, you may think you got it all figured out. But Allah has seen where you don't see. Or there is something about these turning points, this crash. When it smashes you, it is surprising. And for some people, that is the end of their lives. That's why it is important for us to always inspire people. You don't know what someone needs at the time you are saying it. You don't know what someone needs to hear. Someone is seriously sitting somewhere being crushed by the arc of life and is contemplating committing suicide. Now you don't know him. He's just waiting for someone to say something stupid and the person will hang himself, or the person will just throw himself off the cliff. You don't know what someone may be waiting to hear from you, my friend. Brother, say something positive or just shut up. Now the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, when he was talking about this in one of his hadith, he says, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyakul khayran aw liyasmut." Now the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, says, he who believes in Allah and in the last day should speak positively or simply shut up. You don't know what someone may be waiting on you to say. Someone is living on edge. Someone has gone through a lot in life. You don't know the lesson life is teaching someone. You know, the arc of life might have crushed him to a point that he don't know why he must live again. He seems to lose every reason to live. That's why you must watch it, my friend. You must watch what you say. The little positive thing you say may change the life of someone forever. And the person will just be thanking you and you don't even know where it is. That's why I want to sit here right now and tell someone out there, you don't wait on a lot of people to come and appreciate what you say before you say the positive. Say it, and you don't know who might need it. You may change a life somewhere and you don't even know what it is, whose life it is, and that's the beauty of it. Now you see, when a person is crushed by the arc of life, his dreams get shattered. But Allah says, no, that's not a shattered dream. That is just a rearrangement section. Now for a negative person, that's the end of his life. But for the person of faith and positivity, that's just a moment when he changes his gear and set it on the first and run like something. Because when you are walking on a smooth surface, when you are walking on a straight surface, the walking is cool. That's why you enjoy your ride. You understand what I'm saying? That's why you see your dream going on. But when you reach the hill, that you need to climb, then you really need to change your gear. Set it on first and then keep moving on there. But changing your gear, you need to stand up a minute and reanalyze what you have been going through. Expect life to crush you. Now you see, I just told you to expect a person to always be a person, but you should also expect life to be life. Now listen to this. Life has been the same before you, and it is the same now that you are, and life will always be the same even after you. There is nothing new to life. Life has been life since the beginning of time, and it is always going to be life till the end of time. Now you see, you may be new to things, but nothing is new. Life's up and down has been the same with your grandfathers, and it is the same with you. You may think it is new, you may think it is new, you may think it is strange, but it is not. Life is just playing life. It lets you get some joy. It lets you get some smooth walk, and it crashes you sometimes. It lifts you up sometimes, and it puts you down sometimes. It gives you joy sometimes, and it makes you cry sometimes. He gives you friends sometimes, and he brings on some more enemies to your life sometimes. Life has been life. Trust life to be life, and you will be cool with life. If you trust life to always pamper you, if you trust life to always be the smiling thing, if you trust life to always give you that rub on your back, that man, you got this, then I don't know the kind of life you think of. But life is as brutal as it can be, and it is as gentle as it can be. Trust life to be life, and you will be cool with life. And trust people to always be people, and you will be cool with people. This is my message to you. Thank you very much for your audience. Assalamu alaikum.